Hello everyone, it's your wonderful Alpha Tales here, and today we are going to be starting a podcast called Bluey Banter, where we discuss things about Bluey that has captured hearts across the world. And today I'm joined here with my special guest named Jake.
Hello.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing alright. Not really, I'm actually depressed, but you know, I'm happy to be here, probably.
That's great. So is it okay if we start off with some basic questions? Okay.
Yeah.
So what made Bluey stand out to you?
The art style and the vibe.
Can you
What made
elaborate
it
on
stand
that?
out to you?
So what made it stand out to me is probably the colour scheme, because colours are more likely to like grab your attention.
They're very
with
vibrant
anything.
and nice looking.
Yeah.
It's very warm colours.
Yeah.
In Bluey.
Yeah. Even though Bluey's like blue, as you know, it does
Massive observations.
it does like give off a bit of sadness, whereas like Bingo gives off more of that warm energy. So it's kind of contrast. What was your favourite episode of the ones you watched and why?
Oh, we did this. Hide and seek. That was it. That's what it's called. Yeah.
Okay. Why was it your favourite episode?
Because it was just really funny and I liked it. And it was an episode where sort of nothing happens. It starts with them planning to play hide and seek, and the whole episode Bluey just avoids playing hide and seek and does anything else. And I quite liked the concept that was called.
Okay. My favourite episode was definitely Quiet Game. It's in season 2. Not only because it has a character with my name in real life, but also it teaches you about, like, if you don't try, you will never know. Just like filming this podcast, this is our first episode, and I've not done this before, so please bear with. Anyways, moving on, what was your least favourite episode?
The Christmas episode, because it bored me and it sucks and I hate it and it's awful. And I watched it around Christmas expecting a really exciting Christmas special like the rest of the show, which I think is really cute, and then I put it on and I get sent to sleep and then I want to end myself, and yeah, that's my beef with the Christmas Bluey episode. Send back. Okay,
yeah. I would also have to agree with you there, just because it's not the voice acting, it's not the animation, but they do it differently to us, and I just found it a bit weird. Like, it's not like how we celebrate it in our country, as you know. Who is your favourite character?
Still have fun, don't I? I like Bingo.
Why do you
Because she's cute and stupid. And I find that funny.
Okay.
Who is your favourite?
My favourite is Bandit, because he makes things hilarious for me, and he's also like, he also gives off like the adult vibes within Bluey rather than folks.
Yeah.
Okay. This section of the Bluey Banter podcast is called Musical Memories. So, how does the musical score make you feel when watching the show?
Nostalgic, happy, relaxed, and that's because of the instruments they use.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
it's quite electronic, also using melodica, which is like what they use in Animal Crossing, which it has the same sort of vibe to that soundtrack, and I think it's quite nice.
Yeah, the soundtrack for me makes me feel like I'm invested within it, but it also sets the scene for the entire episode. Like your Magic Xylophone with like the classical stuff.
I like the xylophone.
Yeah, it's really like really brings in that.
Oh my god, we're still recording.
Attention. I know, right?
Didn't break. Oh, lucky day.
Okay. Aside from the famous meme sound effects, what's your favourite sound effects within the show?
I like the walking noises. From the top of my head, I can't really think of any other sound effects, but I quite like it.
Okay, why do you like the walking sound effects?
Sounds like the Minecraft one. I like that.
That makes total sense. I see you holding a little blue plushie there.
Yeah, it's my daughter.
Okay.
Look, Bluey, say something in the mic. Oh.
Oh well.
I think my Bluey's special, he can't talk. It's okay.
It's okay. Anyways, yeah, my favourite sound effect would have to be the walking as well. I feel like it's underrated, and also, as you said, it sounds like Minecraft a little bits. So,
Yeah.
how do you think Foley is used within the show?
To create immersion in the story. How do you think it is?
I think it creates this like ideal sort of world compared to the real one that we're in.
Yeah.
So like, if you don't know what idealism is, it's basically where you
Hello, did you steal my word? Did you just steal what I was saying?
yeah. If you're in high school and you say, oh, when I grow up, I want to have fancy cars and I want to have all this money. Like, have you ever done that before?
Today, I don't have dreams. I just wait. I'm a lone wolf. I sit there alone and howl at the moon.
Yeah, but do you ever like sometimes say like, oh, when I grow up, I'm gonna do
I did.
this?
Yeah. Okay, I'll stop joking. Yeah.
Okay, so that's basically what idealism is.
Is there actually people that don't know what idealism is?
Yeah. Something like Christmas. But anyways, this section of the Blue Better podcast is called Heartfelt Pop Culture. So within the show, there are many popular cultural references, mainly within the animation and the script. What was the most obvious one that stood out to you?
I believe I saw some vinyls once with Smartists on it. I think one was meant to be like Lady Gaga. From what? Yeah, I remember that.
Okay, and why was that the most obvious?
Well, it looks like Lady Gaga, I don't know. I don't think they have. I think all references are obvious, really, if you're looking for them.
Yeah,
To be honest.
that is true. The one that stood out to me the most is probably like you can see like fossils in the background, like you know the bandits and archaeologists. And Charlie is a sniffer guard dog at an airport. So it's sniffing out anything illegal, which is really helpful in the show. That's why.
There's sniffer dogs in Blu-ray. Really?
You didn't know that?
No.
Yeah, they're sniffer dogs. That's why
That's
they're
good.
healers.
Where's the humans? That's what I have to ask.
There are no humans.
Did Bluey kill them all?
No.
Is that why she has that look in her eyes?
No.
I know what you did.
We're trying to make this as funny as possible for you guys. Anyways,
Don't even try. I'm hilarious. Laugh.
I'm laughing.
Edit in a
Anyways,
laugh track. That's what you have to do.
yeah, there is a Facebook group, and I know it sounds old, but there is a specific Facebook group that has a thing where you find mini like sausage dog toys in the background of every episode. Did you manage to find any?
Not at all. I was not aware of this being a thing.
Yeah, there is actually a Facebook group where they find mini sausage dog toys in the background of every episode, and yeah, they decide to like put it on there saying, I found this in a certain episode.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I think I found one in the toys. Did you notice any adult humor within the show?
A decent amount, mostly coming from Bandit, from what I remember, but I'm not sure of what specifically it was.
Okay.
But I remember it making me laugh.
Okay. And, like, as well as like the comedy, like down to earth, serious topic. What sort of lessons did you learn from
Bluey. I mean, there's a lot of lessons to be learned. I don't really learn lessons from TV shows. Like, I have my own mind. You know, I don't let the TV tell me what to think. But if I was a little child watching it, I suppose we'd learn to be just an overall nice person. I think the show is a good way of showing how to be a good person. I think it's good for parents too, because like, well, Bluey's parents are both really good parents, and that's a good template of what a good parent is. I'd say, but obviously most parents aren't that good, although they fail as well sometimes, so they're not completely perfect, which I think is quite realistic.
Yeah, I'm thinking that realism.
Yeah.
The adult humour I noticed is that, like, you look at things where they're like like they look like they're play fighting, but sometimes they just feel like they're a bit down under. And it kind of makes you feel bad for them, like it makes you like sympathy. Just because, like, I know they're having fun and everything, but it's hard being a parent as well.
Yeah.
Like, not every parent's perfect, not every child's perfect, nobody's perfect. Like, what is perfect anyway? Like, do you know what I mean?
Ed Sheeran knows what perfect is.
I mean, you're not wrong with that one.
Dancing in the dark with you between barefoot on the grass, listening to our favourite song. I'm not singing this anymore.
Okay. The final section of Bluey's podcast, which is it's called Bluey's Bombastic Theories. So the first theory we will be discussing is about the dark side of Bluey. Do you think there's a dark side to Bluey?
I've already told you about the dark side of Bluey. Where do you think the humans went?
I mean...
She ate them.
I mean, you're not wrong.
She's a hungry cow.
I mean, you're not wrong. But is there anything else that screams, like, bad vibes from the show?
From Bluey as a character?
From Bluey as the show in general?
Well, I suppose the episodes are really short, so you don't actually know what happens outside of that small window.
Yes.
Bluey could be in a dungeon locked up.
Like,
we wouldn't know. They don't want you to know this. This is what they don't want you to know. This is what Biden's hiding from you. Sheeple, wake up.
Okay. I think that purely because, like, she can be very controlling. So, like, she wants certain things.
Bit of an
Yeah, she'll be like that strong child who can't control her own mind. But also, as well, she'll have a go at the other characters as well sometimes.
I was an annoying child.
Yeah. If you want to talk about some of the experiences as a child, you can.
We used to put glass in the road so cars would drive over them.
That's very, very interesting.
And a rape once.
Yeah. Also, did you know that Bluey is actually a rainbow child?
Rainbow child.
So basically...
Gay.
No.
Bluey's gay.
No. Bluey's not gay. Rainbow child is basically like when a mother has a miscarriage and then the baby's born afterwards.
Oh, yeah. Well, I got that.
Yeah. So Bluey's apparently a rainbow child.
That's cool.
Apparently Bluey's a witch, which is moving on to our second theory.
Oh my god.
Apparently Bluey is a witch. She's a witch.
Okay. Is Bluey a witch? Well, I haven't really seen any evidence that Bluey's a witch. But would we know? Has she brainwashed her into thinking she's not a witch?
Yeah.
Isn't that what a witch would want to think, that they're not a witch?
Yeah, like they do try and disguise themselves.
Yeah, we know what we're doing to Bluey later. Getting one of them sticks, tying Bluey to it, and she flies away. She's a witch. She drowns. I don't know, rest in peace.
Yeah. No, there are a lot of times where like magic is used, like but not physically seen. Such as in the magic xylophone, you know, when like magic freezes in place when they tap the xylophone. That's kind of like.
No, I liked that episode as well. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of like magic right there. So that's one way that Bluey can be proven to be a witch, but it's all just a theory here.
A game theory.
Yeah. Credits to Game Boy, by the way.
No.
Oh, and rest in peace, Matt Pat as well, because he retired.
Because he's died.
No, he retired.
How did he die again? Can we remember?
He retired March
Bus.
9th. He retired March 9th. So that was basically like 2 months ago.
Yeah.
Next week.
No, I actually cried when he retired. Honestly, I was like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like only a little bit, obviously. I know it sounds sad, but it was like I loved game theory and food theory and film theory and style theory.
And GT Live.
Well, no, I didn't really watch that. I learned at the right time. It was on at like American time when it was at like 3 a.m. or something ridiculous.
Yeah.
Which at that time I was busy calling the boss baby. So.
Yeah. There was also a time as well in the magic asparagus, if you've not seen it.
I might have done.
Yeah, so basically Blue has like this asparagus where she refuses to eat it and then she
Oh, yeah.
and then she like waves the magic asparagus and turns into Mars. It's so fun. But also there's a kind of like they say, oh no, don't let the balloon touch the grass because otherwise it'll pop. And then it touches the grass and then it pops. Like they predict the future.
I know.
Like, what's
She's
your
literally magic. Swear down.
yeah? Like, what's your thoughts about like her predicting the future?
I think she's a witch and we need to burn Bluey to protect our community and our village
Yeah.
from attack
But
from ops.
on this podcast, anything that is a theory.
It's a theory. That's just a blue theory.
A Bluey
Is that
theory.
what I was meant to say?
Well, pretty much, yeah. Anyways,
Yeah.
thank you so much for coming in today.
Oh, you're kicking me out?
No, we're almost at the end. So
Oh.
I'm going to say my little outro.
Okay.
And we will hopefully see you all in the next one. If you liked it and you want more podcast episodes, let me know. Because I can bring more guests in and talk about different topics.
It'll just be me again.
Hopefully we can bring the different people.
No.
But otherwise, I will see you all in the next podcast episode. Alright, bye everyone.
Okay, bye.
Bye everyone.
I didn't want to see you anyway. Move yourself.
Bye everyone. We love you so much. And we... Ooh.
Have you or anyone ever suffered from cyberbullying?
Personally, yes, I have suffered with cyberbullying whilst making content. There are a lot of like trolls and people who like to spam, technically calling me ugly and laughing at my appearance, but I just tend to ignore it nowadays. Whereas the younger me would just be really sensitive and take it really seriously. But as with other members of the family, yes, they've been hacked several times by hackers, and they've also got scammed from like Facebook, because that's the biggest place where you get scammed nowadays. So they've had to create like a bunch of, well, not a bunch of other accounts, but there's like other accounts that they've made so that they don't get hacked again, which is kind of sad if you think about it. What about you? Have you gone through cyberbullying?
No, not personally, no. But I do know people that have gone through it, and that leads me to my other question. Would you know how to find help if you were suffering from cyberbullying?
Again, going back to past me, probably not, because my education in primary school and high school was the worst. Primary school didn't really teach me. Well, they did teach me, but it was the way they handled things. Like sometimes they were really strict with it, and sometimes they were just like, oh, like we're just gonna let it fly, we're gonna let it off the hook. And high school, it just didn't help at all. Like the working side, like the learning side, it was really good. Like they put like presentations together and stuff like that to raise awareness, and they did like votes for schools, like we do for votes for colleges in tutorial. But in terms of the social side, they were not on it at all. Like they were really homophobic and transphobic. And in terms of cyberbullying, they were just like, oh, just ignore it. You know, we're Gen X, and we toughened up in our generation, and just using their own experience as an excuse, really. But nowadays, actually, yes, I would, because there's tutorial resources in college, and there's posters around the college that can bring awareness to it. Would you know if there was anywhere to look?
Yeah, I would look on a bunch of like websites, because websites, they have like useful links to like other websites,
Yeah.
and like they have numbers as well. Do you know the hotline for like cyberbullying?
Yeah.
So do you believe that cyberbullying should be made aware of in other places like work?
Absolutely, 100%. Because it can't just be a teenage thing, and it just be like a one-time occasion. Like if it was to happen in schools, then obviously the teachers wouldn't know how to handle it because they're not really as good as technology, no offense, but they are a bit older and they didn't have technology growing up. But absolutely workplaces, in case like that, like their business was to like, become bankrupt or to just, how do I put it? Like, for example, my workplace, which is a volunteering shop, if that was to like, if someone were to take over the socials and post random things, then obviously it can lead to like more people saying like, oh my god, we hate your brand, or we don't get the purpose of it. So it kind of just leads to that. So do you personally think that like it should be made aware of in other places?
Yes, definitely, 100%. I agree with you, because I feel cyberbullying is really hard to talk about because not a lot of people like sharing their experiences because it brings up like past trauma and stuff like that. So yeah.
Especially with like all the mental illnesses that people are being diagnosed with as well, like PTSD and everything, that's just like it's becoming more common, and adults don't really take that. They just see it as like a form of attention-seeking behaviour sometimes, because that's what I get told most days, that I'm either attention-seeking or something. But that's just me. But definitely, it should be raised up in work. It should be raised up in public as well.
Yeah, it should. I've got another question.
Go on.
So, describe cyberbullying in one word.
Oh, one word. I have several, but
Give several. Give you 5 if you want.
Okay. So if I was to describe it in one word, I would say depressing. Purely because like it would have an impact on people. But 5 words. Horrible. Rough. Like it can be a rough time for people. Belittling. So like it can be like a person in like a higher setting talking down to people, like, you know, the vegan teacher, for example. Yeah. And like she talks down to people who are not vegan at all.
I hate her.
Oh, definitely. She's definitely one of those trolls who just post content.
Anyway, sorry, I interrupted.
No, it's fine. Word number 4 would probably have to be obsessive. Like people can become obsessed with that sort of behaviour, and then they can just use it as an excuse to say like, I don't know, for example, like, I know this is an excuse in my family, but basically if someone in my family was to post a horrible message about like someone else, then that would obviously be like, it would become like an obsession, and they would keep using the excuse of like a disability, for example, or like,
I get what you mean.
Yeah, like they'll keep saying, oh my god, I have ADHD, I didn't mean to do it because of my ADHD, blah 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 blah. But yeah, you don't see the victim going around saying, oh, I have autism, or I have OCD or PTSD, and then they do it.
Yeah.
And the final word, it's rough. It's not rough. I'd say probably traumatic, especially for like teenagers nowadays, because they have more access to social media. How would you describe cyberbullying in 5 words?
Horrible. Traumatic. Like mean.
Okay.
Mean. Belittling, like you said.
Yeah.
And it like puts you down. I know that's.
So it puts you down. So like mood lowering.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So are there any other questions you would like to ask me before we end the interview?
I have another one.
Go
on. It literally just came to my head. If you had to talk to anyone who was dealing with cyberbullying, given your past like traumas,
Mhm.
what would you tell them?
Oh, what would I tell them? I would tell them to take a break from social media, just to give them a little bit of headspace, to clear their mind from like all the horrible things that are being said. Probably to like at first it may seem like I'll just ignore it, but if it keeps going, then obviously you're gonna have to do something about it. You're not on your own for this. There are like teachers, other students, your parents and your relatives to talk to as well. And just stay safe online, really. What advice would you give?
I would give them, don't be afraid to ask for people help, like, because you can't deal with it on your own. I'm telling you that now. You might think you can deal with it on your own, but you can't.
Yeah.
It will get worse and worse to the point where it will probably.
Yeah. And then you'll have to go through the whole psychology
Yeah.
thing, which is really awful. Anything else?
No.
Well,
Can you say your name, please?
Yes, my name is Helen.
Have you or anyone you know ever suffered from cyberbullying?
I haven't personally. I think one of my children had a bit of unpleasantness once on a sort of Facebook thing, but it wasn't anything too bad, and it was swiftly been able to be dealt with. No.
Would you know how to find help if you were suffering from cyberbullying?
I think I could probably track down something. I can't remember any of the names of anything.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll just, yeah.
Yeah.
How would you describe cyberbullying?
I think that it's any form of social media or anything on the internet where somebody is persistently unpleasant to you and can actually make you feel quite unsafe as well.
Do you believe that cyberbullying should be aware of in like any other places?
Yes, because I believe that it's quite common, and because we've got our phones with us all the time, people can't get away from it with us all the time, so people need to be able to have it stopped, and the only way things like that happen is if there's awareness. So we all need to be aware, and we all need a point of contact so that we can sort it out.
Can you describe cyberbullying in one word?
Insidious.
Can you build on that?
Well, insidious means something that's persistent and slow growing and difficult to get away from, and it's negative and it's unpleasant.
Can you state your name, please?
Ellie.
Have you or anyone you know ever suffered from cyberbullying?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Can you elaborate on that?
One of my friends got bullied online for about a year by people she knew in secondary school. Got it all sorted out, but that happened, yeah.
Would you know how to find help if you were suffering from cyberbullying?
I'd just go to like teachers I may know, or family, or friends, really.
Okay. How would you describe cyberbullying? You can just say a word if you want.
Just the only way you really can describe it, horrible, really. Because why would you want to do that to someone?
No. Yeah. Do you believe that cyberbullying should like be made aware of, like in workplaces or at like school?
Yeah, 100%,
Definitely.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hey everyone, it is your wonderful Alfie here, and today I am joined by the wonderful
Chloe.
So today we are doing an interview about the environment. This is for primary research purposes only. So, Chloe, how would you define the term environment?
I would define the term environment by like what's around us, so like nature, habitats, just
Just the general surroundings.
yeah, the general surroundings of Earth.
Okay, so what do you do as an individual or within your household to maintain like nature stability?
Well, I normally try and walk to places as best as I can, or take public transport instead of just using my parents' car to then get pollution in the air.
Yeah.
I also make sure like to try and use like less plastic things as well and more recyclable stuff, so like animals don't get harmed and like
Yeah.
eat plastic and stuff. And
Yeah. So are there any solutions you haven't tried but you'd like to in the future?
I feel like I'd like to try I think
Just take your time.
I don't know any.
It's all good. It's all good.
Right.
So
I mean, I could say like I think I just like to like maybe I want to create my own like garden, if you know what I mean. So like for like bees and stuff, and like
yeah.
just more like friendly, because I feel like a lot of people are just like destroying like trees and whatever. And in the future I'd like to have my own like garden or like area where these habitats could just come and be safe and not like worry about like living in a tree and it getting chopped down or whatever.
Yeah, that makes sense. What products would you expect to see something about the environment within? So like let's start off with digital. Like where would you expect to see it?
I think probably mainly like social media. I feel like it's a good one to help raise awareness, especially to like teenagers, because I feel like they just kind of like brush over the topic. They don't really like, they feel like it's not impacting them, so they don't want to make a difference.
Yeah.
I also feel like just on websites and stuff like Facebook for older generation people is good, because I feel like it just makes it visually easy for them to like imagine and like understand, and that can help impact like their way of seeing it if they see it visually.
Yeah. What about printed media like magazines?
I think magazines would be good because like I said, like the younger generation are more likely to read stuff like that, and it would like stand out to them more. And I think like posters as well, just like if it was like around areas of like I don't know, like a shopping centre or something, I think like they'll be more inclined to like want to read it, because magazines, if you use more like bold fonts and stuff, it just like stands out more.
Yeah. So what do you think the biggest environmental challenges in the world as of this present day?
I think probably climate change. I think as like we see like now, like recently, like in Spain, the floods and stuff, which is really uncommon, like not normal. Like it's just like because the world's getting hotter, like we've seen the weather like drastically change and for the worse, like, and it's just like in Antarctica, like the ice is melting and like polar bears are sadly losing their lives because of it. And like in like America, the hurricanes have been more and more impactful and like obviously destroying habitats and people's homes and stuff. So I feel like if we don't make a change for climate change, then the world's just not gonna, it might be like too late and the world's not gonna go back to how it was, and we're just gonna live in this continuous cycle of like bad weather.
Yeah. Can you think of any examples your friends might have done? It's okay if not.
Like to help.
Yeah.
Well, I know one of my cousins actually in Spain. He runs like a habitat thing. So like, especially he went to Valencia after the floods and stuff, and he helped like get away the water and stuff in the streets, and then he rescued like a few stray animals and stuff to like obviously give them a home. And he is also starting to do a thing where he's like planting down his own trees as well. So it can obviously in a few years be more better, because obviously we're losing a lot of trees right now.
Yeah, that makes sense. How do you feel about the way the British government is handling like the environmental things? Because it has been in the news that they're donating money to other continents like Africa, and they're mishandling the funds.
Yeah.
So, how do you feel about it?
I feel like they have more awareness about how serious it is, but I feel like they're just like, they say they're going to do something, but then they just don't actually do it, which
Yeah.
so they just make a lot of false promises and hopes to people, and I feel like they're spending like too much money on like unnecessary stuff which isn't like life changing, and I feel like they need to like actually show doing action and show they are helping make a change, so we can hopefully have a better environment in the future.
Yeah. But how would that compare to like, I don't know, an earlier time, like an earlier government, like in 2006? Like, because we've got the Labour Party now, and they're just like putting all these taxes out, aren't they?
Yeah.
So how would that compare to like the previous governments that were mostly Conservative?
I feel like, well, with Labour, not just getting too political, but like
Yeah.
they just like, they said they were going to do so much and then didn't, and then obviously raising taxes. I feel like previous governments, because like in 2006 they had less knowledge about climate change and how much it will impact us. But I feel like that the Conservatives, they would have actually, if they was in charge now, they would have actually used the money more like wisely and like actually would have tried and make a change for people. So yeah, I feel like they would just be better.
Yeah. So, what resources do you use to receive updates on like the changing like land and like, I don't know, like extreme weather events?
Well, like news outlets. Or,
Yes,
yeah.
something like that.
So, well, my parents like when they get back from work and stuff always have the news on, so I have like a brief idea of what's going on. But normally on like TikToks, I'm a teen. Like I see like on my feed page a lot of news channels talking about like it briefly, and they just give you the information straight away in like a minute video. And also like social media as well, just like posts on like Instagram explaining like what's going on different slides is, I think, what I get informative information on.
Yeah. It's going to be a bit of a controversial question, but do you think the environment should be prioritised over everything else?
Honestly, I do kind of agree, because I feel like right now we're not really seeing any improvements. Like as I said, like it's just getting worse and worse as the years go on.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I know like they've done like electric cars and stuff to try and like decrease pollution, but I still feel like they should prioritize it, because like it's like, I think it's like 2050 or something, like it's just like gonna go downhill. And I think if they just start making little changes for the better and it like starts to gradually decline, then they should be focusing on other things. But I think for now, as it's just a rising crisis, they should prioritize it, as it's just ruining our whole earth, like ecosystems, land, environmental issues and stuff like that.
Yeah. Just one final question. There's obviously places like Birmingham and London where they have the green, or what's it called? Is it the green air zone charges?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yeah. What's your opinion on that?
I think it's really good, because obviously Birmingham and London are like really busy, like the like main like workplaces and stuff, and busiest places in all of England. And I feel like it's just like better to show to people that they want to make a change, because obviously they're more likely to have pollution there, and like I just think it's a good way to try and slowly add environmental impacts, and like to like try and reduce any environmental problems and stuff.
Yeah. Okay, Chloe, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
You got a question?
Avery's an animator.
Oh, you're an animator, okay.
I like your idea, but not to criticise, just why do you use AR when you could use one like artists?
No, why do we wouldn't use AI? I'm a producer, so I use whatever tools that are available to me. I write. Somebody said to me, "Oh, you should just concentrate." It's like, it's my project. I'm like I'm not being precious, because I'm not precious. I'm actually very laid back. But I want to actually, the universe is something which I want to have created. Animation-wise, again, like Nancy, I'm more than happy if you've got ideas and you want to sort of do something or experiment to come and bring back. If we can kind of do an animated series, we don't, that's always something that we might go into. Where the journey is, we're on the first rung again, we've gone we've gone all the way, and now we're starting again. But this is what makes it exciting, because I think that it actually allows us in a far better way to sort of reach the goals that we set out to do all that time ago. Have a question? No? Is that okay for you?
Yeah.
I mean, again, like same as Nancy, if you want to if you've got a few ideas, I'm more than happy to.
Yeah, just like I'm positive doesn't really like the use of AI.
Okay, that's cool. I think one of the things which I wanted to show you as well is that, I've got a lot of illustrations from. I had a very early story. I was on the phone and I'd written this, and I was on the phone, and this guy, Simon, I put a thing on, I don't know, does anybody know any illustrators out there? And this fella, he used to work in an office next door, and he's just Scouser, and he's like, oh, that's Jackless, like. So it started, I was chatting to him, and I was telling him about the character and that. And he said, I've just emailed you something. And literally in 10 minutes, I was on the phone. He said, just check your email. And I checked the email, and he'd done a drawing, and it was the first drawing that I'd ever seen of Xavier, or somebody else's interpretation of Xavier. It was so powerful to just have something that's your 10 minutes of conversation had sparked into somebody else's mind, that they drew this kind of punk-like character, and that was the first iteration, shall we say, of Xavier. And he then did a load of early illustrations, which I can share with you and show you, which were very 2D, but they gave this great kind of. Funny thing is the world that the cannery, or the colony that he created. He never met Factory 15, because Factory 15 came in later, was more or less, they created something which he had done, but his thing was quite brilliant, I thought, was this thing that, and I'd like to share, what's your name, by the way?
Avery.
Avery. I'd like to share that with you as well at some point. We can do that, got all of those early illustrations.
I have 2 questions.
Yeah, 2 questions is fine.
So for Xavier, if it does good, which I think it will,
Yeah.
do you think it could potentially be like a franchise, or is it just one?
No, it's a franchise. I
Yeah.
hope it's franchise. I hope that it's my ambition to make it into a franchise, and I like where I'm at the moment is I'm doing it is work. This is another thing that should go into the shoot. It is work. It's hard work as well. It's not something that you actually kind of stop and you go, all right, it's 5 o'clock, I'm going home now. You sat at home and you're kind of thinking about stuff. You're thinking about should I speak to them, and other things come to you. I like walking. I go over Cannock Chase. I did one of these yesterday and had a great walk. There's nobody there in Cannock Chase, so you are able just to create your own, go into the world. And actually Xavier came from me I had a lovely little dog at the time, and I used to walk him along this canal. And I was living in America, but I'd come and see my parents, and I bought them a dog before I went and lived in America. And so when I came back, I walked him down the canal. And I imagined that as I walked down this canal, the dog blooming running back and forth, that I was in one of these space colonies, and I could imagine it all kind of like, and so that clarity, I just thought this is something which I want to develop, I want it to grow, and I wanted, so my ambitions for it have always been big, and I think the steps, and one of the things which we're just kind of getting at the present moment is, they're called, on any project you start to get attachments, you start to get people kind of going like, first things first, we've got a script. So we've got an outline of the script, okay? The script is in development now. Once we have a script, we can then give it to actors, we can then give it to producers, we can give it to potential directors, we can give it to the casting director. The casting director is your first kind of executive person that you sign on. Shaheen Baig, who just did Adolescence. I contacted Shaheen 10, 12 years ago. Do you remember me? Because she was a young girl just starting off, you know. She was just starting off, and somebody said, oh, she's really good, you know. She'll get you thin cash. She'll probably be at my league now, kind of. But you can give it to, so you've got that, you give it to them, and then they start to work. Then you get the attachments, your producers, your finance people, your directors. Then you might get the actor and go, oh, you know, Ray Winston was somebody actually who we spoke to, and Ray Winston said, you can put my name, that's an attachment. So do you know who Ray Winston is? No.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so Ray Winston is like an old cockney actor, he's like, what? But we knew him through football, or a friend of mine knew him through going up to the football, and said, look, he'll put his name to it. And he contacted me, and he said, yeah, if you want to do that. So that's always been, that's how you put it together. Then does it become a franchise? Well, hopefully it does. If you get the success that you kind of, I have a good feeling. I mean, you've got to have a good feeling. I feel that we are at a time now where the old kind of, what shall I say? I think people, they want something a little bit different. They want something a little bit challenging. Tell me if I'm wrong, but I also think it can't be too kind of negative. I've said to the scriptwriter, I said, I want some humour in there as well. I don't want it to be too kind of, not kind of like custard pies in the face or anything like that, but I want it to have some observational humour in there, and kind of like, you know, a little bit of kind of like referencing to sort of life. As I say, we're mirroring what's going on today. We're mirroring what your feelings are. We're mirroring what all these different things are that's going on. So you've got to kind of find a bit of humour in that as well. So hopefully the idea would be that it gets picked up and somebody comes along and says like, yeah, we want to make this into, I've got somebody in the wings who's based in the States who at this present moment, I can't write this thing. But if they come on, it will be a game changer really. And they come with a lot of experience. And one of the things is when we kind of, you know, we had Sam Raimi and all these, they all loved it, you know. And we just, it's just one of those things is that you again, when I started this at the end of last year, and when I went to see Factory 15 again, their thing was like, look, we admire your tenacity. You've got to keep going. If you believe in it, you've got to keep going. That's how I feel. And so I couldn't really, I've had family, my parents passed away. I've had lots of family stuff that's got in the way. Not got in the way, but it's just life. It's just life. And you come back to it, because I believe there is a place for Xavier. I hope so. I hope so. I hope in a couple of years' time we're all going, this is great, let's go to Cannes. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So, you know, I hope it's been of interest to you today, and I hope that we can kind of, you know, keep involved and you know, this is the whole thing. And as I say, I live in Lichfield. So for me, it's only a 15, well, it's not even that, it's a 5-minute kind of 10-minute walk. So it's all okay, you know, it's like, okay, let's have another chat. And then I think that it's kind of a nice thing for me to give back to you guys as well, because I like the idea of having input from different people and younger people as well, and having and that's why I said, don't feel, you know, if your idea, don't feel kind of like inhibited by your ideas either. You know, if you have an idea and you want to tell it, and you say, have you thought about going down that path, or have you thought about that? You know, we can do that. You know, there's lots and lots of different ways. So I hope it all works for us. So anything else? Yeah, go on.
Are you like already in the shooting process?
No. So we're not even in we're in the development sort of process, okay? So we're at the first stage, we're actually pre that. So my life at the moment is raising money. So when the shooting and all of that, so I'm in the process of kind of raising the funding, doing the kind of so when you saw the thing which said tax credits and EIS, those are mechanisms for people to invest into film where they get tax relief. Because obviously what you're doing is that film is high risk. There's no guarantee. There's no guarantee it's going to be successful. So it's venture capital. So venture capital, the clue is in the name. Capital money, venture, well, we're venturing into, you know, there's a risk to it. Now, one of the things about EIS and SEIS investment is that basically you have to have a risk. You can't get tax relief if there's no risk, because everybody would do it. And the government, HMRC, His Majesty's Revenue and Customs, will offer people a good tax incentive to take that risk, because it stimulates another part of the film industry. TV's trying to get the same tax break, okay? So this is the bit that you don't hear about. This is actually what filmmaking, and a lot of film and TV making is finance. It's putting the finance together. How are you going to make it? And for us, we have to get the first kind of tranche of money in before we can kind of take it to sort of a Netflix or an Amazon or that. Once we've got that all up and running, we can then go and see them. So that's where I'm at. Once you've got that first tranche of money, that then starts the first part, which is the development. So the development would be the casting directors, the kind of go and get the script complete, go and get the director in, go and get the key attachments, and then you go into pre-production. So your pre-production would be your casting, scheduling, budgeting, studio locations, then getting the people. Now, one of the key elements of that is you've got timelines. You can, you know, somebody I phoned up today who I wanted to get involved, I was just told you can't get hold of them for a year and a half. So all of a sudden, scrub that one. Find somebody else. That was my first, because I knew this person. I haven't seen them for a few years, but I knew this person. I thought I'd give them a call, and they just went, or the person that represents them said, look, I'll pass on and say, like, you know, you've been in touch, but there's no way that they can do it for another year and a half, so forget that one. So, okay, back to the drawing board. And that's what it is. So you're just trying to do you're putting all of these things together to try and put it all. It's like somebody said to me the other day, filmmaking is a spreadsheet. It's a big Excel spreadsheet with all things that need to be done, ticked off, that go from one thing that lead into the next, and that's the operation. These guys were operation, and I had an ex-girlfriend who used to work in that kind of that's what she used to do. It's like, that's why, when you see films and they've got all the credits, credit is very important. God, how many people work on this? It goes on forever, but that's really what it is, and everybody's looking for an industry credit, to be credited on a film, because those credits in America, America's very unionized and in the filmmaking industry. So when you've got credits, you get more money, and then your credits can be used in how you then negotiate your next pay package, because you go from one to the next. So that's really everybody has that sort of role, and it's the operations of it. So we'd go to production, pre-production, then production, and then post-production would then be the next. And then once you've done the post-production, then you're next. So we're very early on. So it's a good stage. Lovely.
Thank you for your time. So much.
No worries.
Internal narrator talking about a story about two brothers, establishing shot that the two brothers, Cage, age 9, and Koro, age 7, practicing their magic outside while their father and mother, Oni and Mio, watches Cage with disgust and then turns to Koro but smiles at him. The narrators talk while this scene goes on. In 1620, in a beautiful and small village on the outskirts of Japan, there were two brothers. One, a tragic hero who became cruel and cold through his parents' neglect, and his other brother being the favourite. His name is Cage, and he has got gorgeous black wavy hair, like a raven with powers of the undead, the unknown necromancy. One who fell at the hands of the other brother, but still saw the good in him. His name is Koro, and he's got curly pink hair with powers of time stopping. Two brothers who were made to be best friends, but through jealousy and favoritism they turned into sworn enemies. Fates that the universe made to be brothers, but now forced to be twisted fates. Forced to be estranged for years. Will they reconcile, or will history repeat itself like the Bible brothers Abel and Cain?
Right. What was your first thought when you read that?
I honestly thought of Wicked, the musical, you know what I mean? Because basically, obviously in Wicked, as you know, there's obviously Elphaba and Glinda, and everyone favouritises Glinda over Elphaba because of her green skin. And I feel like through the script, I feel like that's kind of what is trying to be like interpreted here in like the implicit sense, but from what I've read, like I feel like it could also be like a resemblance of like kung fu movies like Karate Kid or Kung Fu Panda, but the Adel and Cain at the end, it kind of got me a little bit, because obviously if you're planning to use religious imagery, then you might need to do like a bit more research into because obviously Adel and Cain are from Christianity, I think.
Yeah, they are.
Not good with religion, but so you might need to do a bit of research into Christianity in terms of the Adel and Cain. But otherwise, I just got Wicked vibes from reading it.
Okay. What are the pros of the script and what are the cons of the script?
Okay, the pros of the script, I think it's good, and it does give an overall establishment of like the settings, which also helps me to understand where the scene's going to take place. Your characters are really well named, and obviously it's like alliterative with the K's, which is pretty cool. What else is there? I like the rhetorical questions at the end, with the will they reconcile, because obviously no one's going to be able to answer that like directly if they're reading the script, and the powers seem really cool as well. Like, I don't even know what necromancy is.
So necromancy is when you talk to the dead or you bring back the dead.
Okay.
So it's like the undead.
Okay, so bringing people back to life. That's
basically, yeah.
Okay, that would be a really cool power. However, I do feel like you've got to be careful with powers, because, as you know, with great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah.
And obviously with like the whole necromancy thing, you got to be wise on who you choose, because if you bring back someone and they haven't changed from like their past life, then obviously it's
that's very convenient, because he tries to bring back his parents, who are villains. But then Kuro tries to stop him.
Right.
So then he ends up dead, Kuro. So that's actually really ironic.
Yeah.
Anyway, carry on.
And the descriptions are good. I like the hair descriptions. Now with the cons, I'm gonna be blunt and
be blunt, be critical.
Okay. First critique, I think it needs to be broken down into like smaller paragraphs for me, because obviously like reading through it, I kind of got stuck at some of the words, and it got a bit hard for me to read, which is fine, because obviously not everyone is perfect, but I just feel like if you broke it down into like, for example, like stopping at the favourite and then having another paragraph, because obviously like paragraphs are used for like discussing new things, and obviously you've got the setting in the first paragraph, but then you move on to the characters in the second. So if you're talking about like the characters, I think you should like kind of separate that, because those are two separate ideas. I think as well, maybe give a bit more of like a description of the setting, because I know that Japan is like, it all has like all these like from what I know anyway, like sure it has sushi, but also like what is it, they have like those houses with like the like
I know what you're talking about,
roofs, and then they have like the sliding doors.
I don't know what they're called, but I know what you're talking about.
And I think they also have like the sakura blossoms or the cherry blossoms, so I think maybe having like a description of like the cherry blossoms, if there is any, but obviously like if it's 1620, then it's obviously going to be vintage, and I think as well, like this is just like adding an extra idea, maybe you could use like if it's stopping time, then like if he stops time and like time still keeps going outside of that, then obviously
can you elaborate on that?
So basically, for example, like if we're in this present moment and then you suddenly use your time stop, but then like outside of the time stop, because it will only work for you, like everything was still going on, and then when it stops you're in the future, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah, so like kind of like falling a bit behind, but I think one more thing is the character descriptions need to be a bit more like elaborated on, because obviously cause you've obviously got the hair, which is great, but what
you mean like the eyes and like the face and all that?
Like eye colour, personality, if they've got any disabilities, which I don't think would have been common at the time, because obviously we wouldn't have known about mental illness until like the 21st century. But having like an expanded character description would be wonderful, and maybe a bit more information about the parents as well, because obviously, because again, you've got information about like the brothers, which is wonderful, but I don't really know much about the parents at the moment. So if you could tell me a bit more about the parents.
So Mio, she's the mom. Basically, powers are passed down through their children. So Mio has also got time stop powers like Kuro, but she comes from a hero family, and basically she was cast away because of her acting like a villain and her being horrible. So then she marries Oni. He comes from a pure villain family, kind of like Harry Potter. Mm-hmm. Like, kind of how you think about it.
Yeah.
So, he comes from, like, a pure villain family. But then they marry. Then he marries Then, they marry each other. And then they have Cage and Kuro. So, Cage has got necromancy powers like his dad. So, maybe I can add that into the script.
Mm-hmm. One more question. This will be for you. What inspired you to write this script?
So I was really inspired because I'm a massive fan of Shakespeare's tragedies, and I'm a massive fan of brothers being like enemies. So mostly my biggest inspiration was Shakespeare's tragedy King Lear, and also the Bible story Abel and Cain.
Yeah. What a tragedy in particular? Is there like a particular favourite that you have?
I really like Romeo and Juliet. That's only because I'm a massive fan of love stories, but this follows the same kind of structure as King Lear, because they both have like similarities. If you don't know what King Lear is, it's basically where this King Lear, he's basically really old, and he splits the kingdom to his 3 daughters, Cordelia, Regan, and I can't remember the other one. Anyway, because basically he's going to give them to one of his daughters, but they're going to try and he has to give their love to him first. So Regan and Cordelia, there we go. Cordelia give gifts to their father, but Cordelia says no, not doing that. I shouldn't have to earn your love, blah blah blah. So then she gets disregarded from the family, and then Regan and Cordelia basically, they show their true intentions and basically cast their father away, and then they realise that Cordelia was going to be and then Cordelia dies.
Okay. Well, thank you for letting me read the script. I really did have a good time. And thanks for this interview overall.
Yes.
What's your favourite movie?
Favourite movie
Yeah.
of all time? Wow. That is a really another great questions, because I'd have to sort of think. There'd definitely be one, and again it will be one. Not only do I think you'll have never seen, but I would strongly recommend you go and watch for many reasons. Does anyone remember Monty Python? Comedy, John Cleese and co? Yeah?
I think my dad's watched it actually.
Life of Brian. It's about
I think my dad
Jesus.
watched it because I remember him talking about it when I was like,
It's my favourite film of all time. Just Google it when you get the chance. Monty Python's Life of Brian. It's about Jesus. It would probably never ever get shown again for many reasons. It's so bad it's untrue, but it's hilariously funny. So that would definitely be a go-to movie. And if it was a cold Sunday afternoon, getting up to Christmas in December, I'd put White Christmas on as well, because I'd cry then. Any more?
So,
Alfie?
Have you ever been on air when a major event in the world has happened?
Yes.
Could you give me an example?
Princess Diana.
Really?
Yeah. I was doing the early breakfast show on the Sunday morning. And when I say an early breakfast show, you were given, if you were starting out as a presenter, obviously you were never going to be given the breakfast show or daytime main shows. You started out on either late nights, where if you made a mistake, or you get what they called the graveyard shift. And at the time that was 4 till 6 in the morning. Fortunately, I've been doing it for about 2 years by then, so I was fairly experienced, and I was on air, and in the studios, and this is to this very day, commercial radio, BBC, whatever radio station there is, and TV, there are a set of lights on a wall, and the one of them is called the obit light, obituary. It's a white light, and you dreaded, only ever happened on me once, obviously, you dreaded if that flashed, and suddenly this light started flashing, and I saw it out the corner of my eye, and you think that's a fault, and then I saw 4 or 5 people at the newsroom suddenly dashing in, because I could see them in the corridor, then suddenly come in, you had to stop all programming of what you were doing, as in, you had to go to this solemn music, and then I was told, I said, Princess Diana's just died, and then the world went mad, as we know. I stayed on there for another 4 hours, 5 other presenters come in with me, and I think I was still on air about lunchtime-ish, producing as well, about lunchtime was on that Sunday, so yeah, that's so, as you can imagine, that really, really does. Because your first natural reaction is to think, this is not true. It's so off the scale, and then little bits, like everything, like every national disaster or something that's happened in life, you get little bits of information. First bit came in that we didn't broadcast, obviously. Check and double check and quadruple check. She'd been shot. The next one was that she actually hadn't died, she's critically ill in a Paris hospital. Then it was she's been knocked over in a tunnel. What she'd be doing walking in a Paris tunnel, I have no idea. So it's double check, double check. Before you open that mic and open your mouth, you have to make sure 100% the facts are right. So Princess Diana, yeah. And it was quite a moment. Won me a Sony Radio Award, by the way, so all good.
Yeah, sorry. Yesterday we had a lesson about like what AI is acceptable for us to use in our work. What's your opinion on AI taking over at the moment?
I'm ever so sorry, my friend Alfie.
It's alright.
Let me come over to you, mate. What did you say?
We had a lesson yesterday about what AI can we use in our work. I was just wondering, like, how you would like opinionate AI. Like, what's your opinion on it?
On
AI, like artificial.
Artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
Listen. The world's always going to progress, isn't it? If somebody just said to any of me, to me particularly at my age, seriously, what, 40 years ago, 30 years ago, however time we might be, one day you'll be able to get this here, this magic thing we've all got, and you'll be able to pay for stuff, you'll be able to order stuff, you'll be able to get into places, you'll be able to park your car. You'd have just thought, yeah, right, in your dreams. So with AI, it was always naturally going to come, but it's like anything, isn't it? And this is me being passionate about radio and the media. I'd hate to see the stage where it ever takes over from real people. And I appreciate, like in animation, you know, yourselves, AI will be generated through animation, so there's jobs there. But what I mean by that is, I'd hate to see a film that was and I know we've got cartoons and animated films. Do you know what I mean? I'd love to always see, like anything in life, a balance. And I think these are a great example of that. These sadly take over our lives. And I know AI is a different thing, but it's the development of these to this today, and even smaller probably, to the development of AI, that it's got a place. I've seen it used, I've used it on shows, like radio shows, stuff I've done, and I've been blown away from it. But I think there's always a balance of where you stop using it and where you don't ever forget us. There are human people around. So yeah, did you get a talk on it yesterday then?
Yeah, we had a talk about it yesterday for what was acceptable to use in our like media products, and how we would go about referencing it correctly.
So we have to mark them on their creativity and
okay.
So if they're using AI to replace their own work, we have to put, obviously that would not be acceptable.
Yeah, you see, then with no disrespect if anyone does that, by the way, everyone to their own. That's where I'd see it in a bad place. And of course the obvious is, sadly, and our lives are ruled by social media when it's used in social media, and when it's used wrong in social media, that end up getting somebody sadly trolled, or that's when it's used creatively, when it's used with balance. I think it's brilliant, but like everything in life, it's got to be controlled to a certain extent. I mean, I'm sure I don't know if you go on Facebook, I don't know if you're allowed to go on it, whatever, or what form of social media you get, but there's only, and I won't get political on me, obviously, life's too short and I'm having a great time with you. I cannot stand Donald Trump. The life of me, I don't know what Donald Trump's doing, but that's another day I'll come back and tell you. But there was a dreadful AI thing done of him yesterday that just was awful about him, and it attacked his family, and that's when it's not right, if that makes sense. But great question, brilliant. I forgot to tell you, sorry, how can I forget this? Another job I did for 2 years, and again I'll have to ask if any of you remember it, your mums and dads will. Do everybody remember the Jeremy Kyle show?
Yes.
Wow. So, this is going to sound like terrible name dropping, but Jeremy's a really good friend of mine. I DJ'd at his wedding to Carla. I was his producer of his radio show on BRMB, Late Night Jezza, before he went to Virgin Radio, and then he became a TV star with the Jeremy Kyle show. That was filmed in Manchester on a Thursday and a Friday. 3 shows on a Thursday, 3 shows on a Friday, and one that was kept, as they say, in the can. So if anything went wrong or they had to pull one of them for a reason, they've got a spare. The way it worked, up to Manchester on a Wednesday night in a hotel, I was what's known as the warm-up man. I bet none of you know what that is. Okay, watch any, not just live, particularly game shows, watch any live or recorded game show on TV. And before Ant and Dec come out, and before whoever comes out, Michael McIntyre, don't even know what he does. Anyway, there's a guy who goes out first of all and warms up the audience, tells them not to look at the monitors, tells a few jokes, gets them clapping, does all of that. That was what I did on the Jeremy Kyle show for 2 years. But then imagine the audience in there. So they used to, at 10 o'clock in the morning, bring the first audience in. I would do the warm-up for 15, 20 minutes. Jez would walk out, record the show, throw that one out, throw the next one in, and do the same to about 7 o'clock on the night, go off to our hotel and have a cup of tea. Yeah, right. Glass of lemonade. And then go and do it on the Friday, back in the car, come home. And it was so tiring and exhausting, it was untrue, but it was one of the happiest times of my life, because the people you meet, in between recording, you went to chat to some of the audience. I won't get political on you, but I'm about to. He was hung out to dry on that to get the sack. It was never his fault. And I might be biased because he's a mate of mine, and I only spoke to him yesterday because he's coming back on TV later this year. There might be a job for me to do there. But I forgot to mention that was a great part of my life. So I've done some TV as well. There was a programme on a Sunday night, 100% before you were born, probably, never mind you guys, called Our House, where it was you went into people's houses, and I did that. It went on a Sunday night, 5 o'clock, ITV, Central Television in Birmingham, and I did that for 2 years as a presenter as well. Questions?
We've had one, you noted another one down about networking and getting into the industry. If you've got advice for...
Yeah, another great question. That touches, who got that question anyway?
If you wrote it down.
Oh, right, okay. Well, it touches a bit on what I said to you earlier about getting in touch with the likes of Mark Silk. And again, a bit like Alfie, really. I see him on social media quite a bit. He got in touch via my producer at BRMB and came in. So we've got to know each other now, and I give Alfie advice, and he'll come in again, and he'll come into the studio again. The best tool in the world, and I got told off for a teacher once saying this. I left school, by the way, with 9 O levels, that's what they were at the time, forgive me if they're not now, and 5 A levels. So I did really study at school. My mum wanted me to be a lawyer and to go to law, and I became tried to become a footballer. That went wrong. And then I found nightclubs. Obviously, having your education is brilliant. What you're doing here and learning the mastery of what you're doing, animation, voiceover work, whatever else you're doing, that's the core of what you've got to learn. Networking is the best thing in this world. I used to go to absolutely anything I could. If I found there was a media talk on somewhere, I'd get a ticket, mum and dad would take me, or I'd go on my own, or I'd go with someone else. If I thought there was a radio station somewhere, I'd write to them, I'd email them, I'd write to them again, and just say, can I come and sit at the back like Alfie's done? If there's an animation studio, there'll be animation studios in Birmingham. You probably know, do you, or don't you? There will be. Absolutely, there will be. Absolute fact. Google animation in Birmingham, drop them an email. Can you give me any advice? Can I come into your office? If you find out there's an animation talk somewhere, Google is the, goes without saying, doesn't it? It's the greatest tool for networking. I used to go to after dinner things of an evening after work, bunch of people. There are still networking events that are happening in Birmingham now. They're more at a business level, but I formed my event management company. I used to go to networking breakfasts and hand out business cards galore. I'd stand, I'd ask them if I could do a talk. So people got to find out about me. If you were to say that, and I hope you don't mind me saying this, if you were to say where you are at in your lives now and you want to get into this big bad world out there of getting someone to pay you, at the end of the day, as much as we love our job, that really helps. This is obviously unbelievably important because you wouldn't have the skill set to go out there and get the work. But 60% of it is about letting somebody out there know of what you do, and know you do voiceover, and know you do animation, and know that you do, what are you doing? Photography, that know you do, was it photography? That know you do it. Find, like, forgive me, I shouldn't ask you this. Do you mind me asking how old you are, sir?
16.
Okay, so you've got a couple of years from a legal licence point of view, but then find a venue, find a stately home, just say to them, can I come up and do some photography? I'm obviously not going to charge you, but what I will do, this girl who came into my club last Saturday, she's just sent through to us some of the most amazing shots. We got her a couple of drinks, we made sure she was home safe, all of that. Now, we will use her now, and we've actually got a paid for job for her already. So, I don't know if, if you're into wildlife, get hold of one of the stately homes. What sort of photography? Is there a specialist area that you're doing? Landscape? Yeah. Okay, meaning what? Educate me, sorry. What does that mean, in a nutshell? Because to me, landscape is a piece of paper that goes that way. But there you go. Botanical Gardens in Birmingham. There you go. Buy a ticket. Get somebody else to buy the ticket. Go round. Do some great photography. Get it on your own web page. Go to the Botanical Gardens and say, I've just done this. I'm not going to charge you. Would you like 6 of these photographs of me and I'll give you copyright to use them? Wow, these are brilliant. We've got to find out who this guy is. Networking is the best tool in your life, and the biggest advice I'll give to any one of you, use it as much as you can. I used to go to the opening of so many things to network, it became known that Jimmy Franks would go to the opening of a fridge door because I was at everything. And other people around there, my peers and people I work with, we did it because that's how you got business. The biggest contract for my event management company I ever picked up, worth a serious amount of money, was British Gas. I got that, so I went to a networking event in Birmingham, started talking to this lady and gentleman. Turns out she's the marketing director of British Gas in the West Midlands. Asked me to go and have a cup of coffee with her. The rest became history. And I'm not doing this to be crass, and I really am not, because money is irrelevant. Unless you want to ask me anything. I got £1 million contract off them in the end, for purely talking to someone in a networking event. It took me 3 years to develop that, but that was nothing but networking.
I've got a question for that, 'cause one thing that they're starting out, a lot of them, like obviously freelancing or going into those, do stuff for free, and then we've got opportunities for work experience that come into paid opportunities. But it's the, how did you set your price value? 'Cause it's
Wow.
It's the...
That's a really good question. That's a very, very, very good question, because the danger is when you become, when I worked on BR&B in the BBC, I was on contract. I had a brilliant agent, who's still my agent to this day. She went in and negotiated my contract and said, this is what Jimmy's worth, take it or leave it. Thankfully, most of the time they took it. When you become out in the big bad world on your own as a freelancer, self-employed, there's that fine line, and it is a really fine line between, and it's not called overpricing yourself, and it's not called underpricing yourself. I tell you what it's called, it's what you think your value is. And if you think, I'm worth this, and I'll give you a great example if I'm digressing. This Gemma, this photographer, who I use free, on Monday, she sent me her hourly rate. And I initially looked and thought, no, it's quite high. She's £80 an hour. She's £499 for a day, or she'll do you a little bit off. And I thought, do I go back and haggle? No, actually, because that's her rate. Now, I know, if I'd have gone back and said, look, I want you for a day, but I'm not paying 500. I just can't do that. She may potentially have gone, I'll do it for 400, but what you don't do ever in life is go, well, what do you want to pay me? Don't ever say that to anyone, ever, because they're in control then. And no matter what road you go down, you're stuffed. So if you become full-time photographers, you become full-time animators, you become full-time voiceovers, you become full-time, what you do? Marketing. You become a full-time radio presenter. I'll be your agent. Oh, okay. Whatever you're doing, never, ever promise me this from this moment on when I walk out that door. If you remember the 5 W's, never ask anyone what they want to pay you, ever. Because you've set a line there that they'll say, well, I'll give you 50 quid. And they know you're going to say yes because you've asked them. And the worst thing about that is they'll pay you 50 quid next time and 50 quid next time. And then might the next time after that go, better give them 60. If you go in straight away and think, well, I don't want to lose this job, I want 120. Pay you 100, you're 50 quid ahead of what. Does that make sense to you all? Promise me one thing, even if you negotiate with mums, dad and family, never ever ask them what they want to pay you. You tell them and start at a figure that you know in your mind you're quite prepared to come down a bit. Is that? I'm doing a Compare award ceremony for a company in Brighton in June, and they rang me up. My agent said, I don't want to deal with them for this, you do it yourself. Woman comes on the phone. I could have stood there and said, what do you want to pay? What's your budget is what the phrase you use now. But I know, because she'll have done her homework around, she would have probably come in a lot less than what I know I'm worth to drive down to Brighton for in my experience, right? So I just went stupid. Not that the fact that I thought, I don't want the job, because I did, so I just said I'm £2.5 grand, plus my expenses, plus a hotel. She said, wow, can I come back to you? She came back down and she said, we'll pay you 2,000. Thank you, that'll do, because that was fine for me. Had I have sat on that phone and gone, well, what do you want to pay? 750. I can't get up to 2,000 then. See what I mean? The best I probably could have got up to was 1,000. And I know that's a lot of money, by the way. I'm not being arrogant, or I'm not saying it because of that. Never ever ask somebody. You tell them. And know your own worth. Look what you're doing now. How long have you all got left on this course? Are we all right for time still? I'm great. I'll stay all afternoon. No, I love these. How long's left on the...
They've got to their first years. They've got about 9 weeks left of this course, and then another year.
Another year. So you've got a year and a bit of your lives coming into here and learning your skill every day, all day. Why, for the love of God, no matter what you end up doing, would you want to sell yourself short? Why? You're learning a craft that 99% of people who want to employ you don't even have that skill factor. And this is not derogatory. They're the managing director, they're the head of marketing, whatever it might be, they're the booking agent, they're the head of a radio station. You've learned a skill and you're worth that money for that skill. Don't ever undersell yourself. And from the day I worked in my first nightclub, when I lied about my age, I was 16, you should have obviously then been 18. It was a nightclub in Birmingham, and I got paid £3.50, a lot of money. But I knew then what I was worth, and I knew what the guy at the time, Eddie Futrell, would pay me. I knew, so I'd ask. But if I'd have gone in at £2, Eddie would have paid me £2. I went in at a £5. He looked at me, he swore at me, but he wanted me because he'd phoned me, so he said, I'll pay you £3.50. I'd set the bar already. Yeah? Don't ever ask someone, promise me that. Good question though. Next. I will tell you people who are in my phone at the end.
And what is your personal motivation of keeping radio alive?
To keep my
radio alive?
My radio alive?
No, just radio in general, because streaming services are obviously popular now instead of radio.
Oh wow. What's my what? Tell me the first bit. What's your name, sorry?
Reese.
Reese, what, just ask me the question again, my friend, so I'll get it right for you. What's my
personal motivation behind keeping radio alive?
Oh, brilliant question. Well, these are great questions. I've been very fortunate, as you obviously know by now, to have spent my life in radio. And I still think to this very day, and people might say I'm biased, it's still the best medium of broadcast. And one reason only, and think about this, radio is the only thing, books do it, that's a lie, radio is one of the only things in the world, and I was always taught this, you can paint a picture with words. You can create anything for someone. You can create an imagination for them. I was just saying, as we came up, fortunate to have a home in Spain. I'm going for a month next week. So I'm doing my radio show, there's a reason I'm saying this to you. I'm doing my radio show from my home, mad with the technology nowadays, for 3 Saturdays. I can picture in anyone's mind at that time what I'm doing. I could be sitting in my lounge, but I could say I'm right by the pool drinking a drink. I could say I'm on the beach. And that's the passion, that's what keeps it alive for me as far as radio medium goes, is I walk into that studio on a Saturday, and no matter what bad day I've had, I've had an argument with my wife, which is pretty invariable. If I've just somebody who's been a knobhead on the road as I'm driving there, I have to let all of that go, all of it, because you don't want to listen to that. But what I do then do, and Alfie's experienced it, I've got Steve and my producer, and we bounce off each other, and it's a passion being able to send that to a listener, and when you get a message, a text message or a WhatsApp message where somebody goes, loving the music today, loving that banter you're having with Steve, and the best at that ever, sadly no longer, it was Steve Wright, who was one of my heroes. It's that passion, but the extension of that, as you can probably tell, I've just got a great passion for life. It's a real bit of a cliche, we're not going to be around long, are we? If we're really lucky, we'll get 80 years, 85. If we're not, sadly for some. So you just got to make the most of it. You'll get dealt bummers, you'll get dealt bad times, you'll get dealt good times, you'll get dealt real highs, you'll get dealt real lows. It's the lows that have got to take you back up to the highs, and that's what radio does for me. And as I said at the start, Reese, and again, I swear to God, guys, if you knew me well enough, this is not bragging. I'm so fortunate and financially comfortable that I don't have to go to BRB and say, pay me. I do it on a Saturday for nothing. So I leave my home at 11, I get home 4:30, so there's 5.5 hours out of a Saturday when I could be going shopping, I could be going out for lunch, I could be doing something else. Certainly wouldn't be doing gardening, thank God. But I do it because of the passion to this very day, 45 years later, that I've still got for it. And media again, new media fascinates me. The animation you guys are doing, the photography this girl has sent over to me this morning. what's developing in the world, the good stuff, is what drives me as well. Does that make sense? Did I answer that all right for you? Sometimes I wonder if I waffle, because I do. Any more?
Oh, this is like a question that's kind of like completely opposite what you've just been talking about. But
Did you say then this is a good question?
Oh, I don't
No,
know.
brilliant, well done.
Is there anything about radio that you don't like?
Oh, wow. Yeah. That is a really good question, and I'll wind back. I left the BBC in 2019 because it became so bureaucratic, it became so form-filling, it became so constrained about what you as a presenter could do, say on air, not say, having to say this, given lines to say. I was offered another 3-year contract. I walked in and said, "You're free." I didn't quite use those words, if I vividly remember, with my agent going pale. It's the bureaucracy around it, particularly within the BBC, that I just had enough of. I'm really fortunate on the BRMB I'm on now, that I can go in and play 3 hours of great music. I have to be careful what I say, of course I do, because I'm governed by Ofcom, we still are. I'm professional enough to know what to say and not to say, but if they really started to tie me up in a load of red tape of, well, you can't do that, you've got to fill this form in, you've got to do that, that was the part that frustrated me, really did. I'll give you a great example. See this seat here? This seat are the chairs, obviously, that they use in the BBC, okay? I used to have live bands come into the studio to do sessions. It got to the stage where they employed a person on a full-time salary under some bizarre title the booth gave them, that if I'm a musician, so I'm coming in to play guitar, okay, into Broadcasting House in London, into the mailbox, into Piccadilly in Manchester, to BBC Manchester. This chair has now got to have arms on it in case I fall off the chair. If it hasn't got arms, this person has to come in, do a risk assessment on this chair, including measuring, fall drop, and then I, as that musician, have to sign a form to say I'm happy to sit on this chair to play my guitar in case I fall off the chair. Now, guys, call me stupid, and if you can see, unless I'm absolutely drunk as a skunk, how am I going to fall off this chair? I've got my feet on the ground, I've got my guitar here. What am I suddenly voluntarily going to do that? What, fall on the floor? Oh, by the way, I've done it myself. That's the red tape that will always make me, and I know new presenters, I feel, for brand new presenters getting into radio now, I would advise anyone, Alfie, you obviously are a really good radio presenter, so don't take this for gospel, because I know it's what you want to do. I would say become a producer, become an editor, become a newsreader, become that. Radio presenters in this country now are so constrained with what they can say, what they can do, becoming robots, playing 3 hits in a row and saying one line. Listen to some of the national stuff. If you've got Heart, which has sadly now gone out of Birmingham, Ed James, Smooth Radio. You ever listen to them? If you ever do, forget the music, but just have a listen. They'll play 4 tracks, say one line, play 4 more tracks. Say one line. Those lines are put on a wall in the studio for them to say. Can you imagine how soul destroying as something you've wanted to do all your life? Like, you know, your animation, well, you can do your animation, but I don't want you drawing that. I don't want you drawing that, and I don't want you to draw that like that, and I don't want you photographer, whatever it might be, whatever route you go down in life, bureaucracy can strangle you. Just don't be rude, don't lose yourself a gig, but be yourself anyway. But that's the part that really used to frustrate me, and still does to this day, as you can probably tell. Any more? I'm only looking at my watch, by the way, can I just tell you, not because I want to go. It's been a habit of all my life of looking at clocks because of time on the radio. And also, I'm enjoying this, but you might say, you're going to go now, we've got something. Have you got something else to do?
No, just have a break and then they've got a workshop after this. And but if you're free to ask any like anyone wants like one-to-one questions, if you're okay to do that. And I know Alex got you booked into.
You're all doing it, don't you?
Yeah, that's okay.
You've got a full studio here.
We do have a studio over there, but we've got a classroom set up ready for.
Oh, right. Is anybody else coming in on that, or is it just me and you?
Just me and you, mate.
Oh, God. Can I ask us a question? No, I'm joking. No. Here's another thing for you, by the way. I've interviewed 6 Prime Ministers. God knows how many members of the Royal Family. God knows how many, what's the phrase that's sounding old? Musicians, rock stars, pop stars, whatever you want to call them. Never once, ever, unless I was told I've got to, by a flunky, and I've once written a question down, ever. And the reason being for that is I've always firmly believed whatever you're doing in life, be natural. Don't be false. Don't be, this is what I've got to do. Be you. Express yourself as you. 100%, no matter what you're doing. I'm going to go round really quickly because I've missed a lot of people out. If you don't know answer, please don't think you've got to, so I'm not putting anyone on the spot. Because that's what you're going to do.
I don't really know.
Don't know at the moment.
Yeah.
So you're just thinking at the moment.
Yeah.
Great.
Sports journalism.
Wow. Really?
Yeah.
Here's a good one then. Write to Aston Villa when you're ready to do something. Write to the Blues. Write to the Wolves. Write to BBC WM. Write to email a guy called Daz Hale, head of sport at the BBC. Daz is one of my oldest friends. Again, use my name, but Daz is brilliant. Daz would probably where do you live? If you don't mind.
Sadly.
Okay. Oh, you're not far from us. We're in Alwywas.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I'm going to the Duck. Your brother?
My friend lives there, so
Oh, really? Yeah. Oh, yeah, we walk up the canal to the, is it the, what's it called? The mucky, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
The calf
Yeah.
and the pub.
Yeah.
Well, more the pub. If you don't know answer, guys, because I can see you all starting to do this. If I ask you, just say no. Don't be embarrassed. It just fascinates me what some of you want to do. What about yourself?
Don't know, yeah.
Don't know? Which what did you say, mate? What do you want to do?
I can just like working with cameras. So
Okay, photography is a great thing.
And sports journalism as well.
Brilliant, again, do exactly the same. Sports journalism, you know, is one of the greatest media. I love my football. I love sport in general. It's one of the most passionate mediums to get into in television, radio, in written form, online, anything like that. That whole networking thing, you know, Gaz might not reply. Email him again. He will reply to you because he's one of the good guys, Gaz. He's old school. He's been in the game long enough. That's when you've got to start to think outside the box of who would I contact. Right, get a piece of paper and go, okay, who does sport? Well, it's not print form, there's not much print form sadly anymore. Well, there is online. So the BBC do online sport. Look at some of, when you see a piece written, look at the name at the bottom. They will have an email address, and it's always their name, always. So mine still is to this day, jimmy.franks@bbc.co.uk. So if you see Matt Smith, you've got Matt Smith's email address, matt.smith@. Write to them. What do you do? Can I have 10 minutes on the phone chatting to you? Can I come to somewhere? Can you drop me an email with 5 bullet points of advice about you got your gig? Network yourself. Going round, sorry. You want to do the same? Photography. Oh, sports photography. Wow. Don't be frightened, guys, honestly. And yourself? Social media marketing. So a great lady in Sutton Coldfield, I'll find her address, Katie Hale, one of the best social media marketing people. She does all of my stuff for my nightclub. Again, go out there, just ask, you know, if you can always ring me. I've got a black book of everyone there. What about yourself?
Film director.
Wow. Okay, well, Stephen Merchant coming into the custard factory in 18 months' time. Imagine doing some work experience there, dropping an email to someone there. You've got to, we've done here, we've done there. What have we done here, everyone? Sorry, I'm not sure. Yourself? Photography. Yourself? Don't know at the moment. This was animation, marketing. Yourself?
Journalism.
Any particular area or just journalism as a whole? Alfie, we'll totally ignore you. That's what that is.
Sports photography and journalism.
Brilliant, wow. Wow, what a great broad range. Honestly, guys, in this industry, this media industry, am I all right for a few minutes? I'm all right, by the way, but I've done this all my life to talk, so you'll be dragging me out at 7:45 tonight. In this industry, the media, whatever it might be, not gone of the days, that's unfair. The BBC still do their graduation courses, wherever you move on to next. And a lot of the jobs, annoyingly, and really this is a passion of mine, and sadly don't get advertised, because they tend to try and do it internally. That's going to be broken soon. Ofcom, who regulate media in this country, and the government are saying, no, you can't keep doing this. If you need a new graphic designer, if you need a new photographer, if you need a new journalist, of course we want you to progress someone within the BBC or commercial radio or written form, but you've got to go out there and look for talent. I've told them, and that's what will happen. So jobs will become available. Don't listen to all the doom and gloom, because you can make yourself really depressed at that. But also, 50% of it is you going to them, badgering them. I badgered BR&B for a job. I was fortunate that it was the second only ever commercial radio station on air at the time. I badgered them. There wasn't emails then, seriously. There wasn't mobile phones, I don't think. No, there wasn't. I wrote to them, I wrote letters. I went down to the studio in Aston Road North in Aston, whereas Alfie knows the new BR&B studios bizarrely are 10 yards over the road, 20 yards, 50 yards over the road. I used to post letters through their letterbox. I found out who the head of engineering was, and I wrote him a personal letter. 50% of it, guys, is you. It is you that have got to do the legwork.
Yeah, so it's being driven. Who's in your phone then?
Well, I will tell you that every single one of them are coded for many reasons, that that got lost. So Jeremy Carl's in there under something, Robbie's in there. Oh God, did you hear what I did there? Called him by his first name, like this. Robbie Williams is in there, Cat Dealey's in there, Holly Willoughby's in there, Steve Mulhern's in there. I'm sure it's not a number anymore. In fact, I know it isn't, but I still keep it in there. There's a member of Royal Family in there, who I used to work with. Sophie Rhys-Jones, married to Prince Edward. Sophie and I worked together for 2 years, so she's in there. But I know it's not a number, but I'd never ring it because he answered. There was some special branch going, what are you doing ringing this number? I'm arrested. Yeah, there's quite a few. James Gordon is in there. Yeah, there's quite a few. My daughter's in there. How the most important. My granddaughter is in there. She's really important. Alfie's in there as well. I haven't got Alfie coded because he's not under the Secrets Act at the moment. Yeah, there's quite a few. So, you've only missed one, and again, it doesn't matter. I did one of these about a year ago to all radio students, 100 of them, at Birmingham Uni. And we gave them a quick background. I said, right, questions. And this is how immaterial this industry is because of what you see on the television, what you see in the newspapers. This guy turned around, really articulate guy, turned around, he went, how much do you earn? And I didn't want to embarrass him, obviously, but I just thought, how shallow is it that you're studying at Birmingham University and your first question is, what do I earn? Of course it's about the money. It's got to be at the end of the day. We've already put clothes on and eat and pay our bills and do nice things and go out and whatever we end up doing. But it was never, I was really fortunate to get paid seriously good money, have lovely cars, and I will always be eternally grateful for that. But it was never my motivation. I was worth something, like I told you earlier, and I'm still worth something today, but the money was never my main motivation, ever. So, yourself is your biggest tool. Get out there, knock on doors. If somebody slams one in your face, knock on the next door, then the next, because eventually the door will open and I'll go, yeah, come on then, and then grab it. Right.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much. Thank you.